before the kickoff of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, there were a lot of issues that people were complaining about. Issues including the United States immigration policy, the FIFA organization, especially under ticket pricing, and of course, FIFA increasing the competition from 32 nations to 48. People, including me, were complaining maybe there would be disparity between some nations of the footballing. Today, we just witnessed the biggest or the first blow up of the competition. Germany 7, Curaçao 1. And Australia just pulled out one of the first major upset of the tournament so far, winning against Turkey 2-0. And we watched an exciting game between Netherlands and Japan 2-2, and of course Ivory Coast won against Ecuador 1-0. And the last game was between Sweden and Tunisia 5-1. So we're gonna try to address all this game. This is your 2026 FIFA World Cup match day 4. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the world of soccer. If you're not allowed to subscribe, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this with your friend. So we're gonna just start with the most interesting game, because for me, I liked everything that happened, like, a lot of goals in Germany game. But we're gonna talk about some games because there were a lot of interesting matchup tonight. Japan versus Netherlands was a very interesting game, a 2-2 game. The Japanese are really serious. I wanna say they are not a favorite, but they are a serious team that everyone have to reckon with, because this team, they play football. They really they know how to ball. And tonight, when they were playing against Netherlands, the game was so fun to watch, especially that second half, because the first half was kind of boring, right? We're gonna try to just dive into that game, because first of all, Virgil van Dijk scored the first goal in the 51st minute. When he headed that ball, he was looking the ball going into the net. And then that was the first goal. And of course, the Japanese, with their resilience, came back 57 minutes. So only 6 minutes after they conceded by Nakamura. Keito Nakamura. We all know Nakamura in Europe, like one of the best Japanese players that played in Europe. And he equalized 57 minutes. And of course, some of it, 64th minute. Boom! 5 minutes later, just after conceding the equalizer, they scored the second goal. 5-1, a beautiful goal outside of the 18-yard. He placed the ball to the post, and the goalie couldn't do anything. Interesting history about the Japanese goalkeeper. I love it because he's an American. He was born in New Jersey, and his dad is a Ghanaian, and his mom is Japanese. So he did his footballing development in Europe and stuff, and now he's playing for the Japanese starting goalkeeper. Hey, bravo, congratulations to him. But he couldn't do anything to save that. But the Japanese, you know how they play. When I watch the Japanese play, just remind me the manga movie, the Blue Lock Project, when they put everyone together, train. They play like that. They be moving everywhere. The Japanese, they're so versatile. Is a versatile, that's how you say it, right? They're like Kibo. We know Kibo. He played for Real Sociedad, and of course Ueda and Maeda. I don't know Maeda, but Kamada, Sano, we know Kamada is really good. Nakamura is a fantastic player. I didn't see Minomino in the game except for the sub. Even in the sub he did not play. Ogawa played. Maybe Minamino is injured, but overall it was a fantastic game to watch. They equalized the game in the 89th minute. So right before the end of the game. And their coach, I love the coach. His posture, always calm. That team beat Germany, Spain, I think Brazil. Every big team they play, they won against them. And today they did 2-2, which is a great point. The next game gonna be very interesting to watch, because when I saw the other game, I said, okay, Japan is really a team that people need to pay attention to. And about Netherlands is the biggest country to not win the World Cup. I don't know if they share that title with Portugal now, because Portugal has been there for the last 12 years now since Ronaldo really started. Portugal is one of the contender every time, or one of the black dark horse every game, every tournament. But overall, it was a decent game to watch. The first half wasn't that fun, but the second half was very interesting. You see Koeman and the Japanese coach, they were all just very serious. The Dutch are serious. But this game was fun to watch. Overall, it's very exciting. Tactically, like I said, the first half was really boring, but the second half was fun to watch. There were a lot of movement. The Japanese, the minute you give them some space, they're going to use it. You give them space, they're gonna use it. Because when Netherlands scored the first goal, they did not keep pushing. They just take a foot off the accelerator, and then Japan went back on the game and then just dominated. So like the other interesting game was like the Ivory Coast game. Tactically, it's very important. It's the first African team to win in this competition so far, because we had a tie between Morocco and Brazil. So the honor is to the African tonight, because Ivory Coast beat a really serious team. Ecuador is a serious, Caicedo, William Pacho. So Ivory Coast overall, the game was really good to follow, because if you watch it, the first half, it's like Ecuador was dominating it. If you watch it, the first half, Ecuador was dominating. Those guys had 2 posts. They create chances, they cannot finish them. Defensively, they're good. They're one of the best defensive team in the tournament. I think they went to 18 games without conceding goal or like I don't know how many goals they concede. But Ivory Coast is a really solid team too. But overall, tonight, the game that you can really watch out, there are players that was really fantastic. Jamonde from RB Leipzig, I think he's gonna go somewhere. That boy is going far away. He's only 19. Nicolas Pepe, Casey, Fofana, Wahi, Eliwahi, and Balotoure. So overall, it's a really good team. If you look Ivory Coast in the face, or you look at their squad, they can compete against anybody. We saw them beat France in the last game of the preparation. People will say it's just preparation game, but this game was solid. Ecuador, Ivory Coast. When I was watching them, I said, okay, it's two really. They're both physical, but Ivory Coast is more technical than the Ecuadorian, because we saw that in the second half. Because Ivory Coast felt, well, okay, we are superior to this team. We can dominate the game. What they did, they dominated the second half. Damonde was like terrorizing Nkapie, because Nkapie is supposed to be really good in 1v1. He's an Arsenal player, really good. William Pacho, really good. He's a PSG player. And of course, you have Ordonez and you have Caicedo, Franco. They're really good team. Like, Ecuador has a really solid team. But offensively, they need really to up their game. Eno Valencia is good, but he's like almost 40. So they need to work on that, especially in their finishing, because they're creating chances. They're just not scoring enough. And Ivory Coast, this is a really big win for them, because they're going to qualify maybe for the first time, because they never qualify out of their group phase. And this year will be maybe the right time. Their next game is kind of easy, not easy. They play in Germany, but Germany did a 7-1 against Curaçao, which is like, so just the disparity between these countries, right? Germany, we're not even talking about that game. It was like a just German show. They came in, they score, and Curaçao equalized, Curaçao equalized, which is really good for Curaçao. They are the smallest nation in this competition. They came in, in their first World Cup, they scored their first goal, which is good. It is against Germany. But Germany, it's a Germany thing. It's not like only you're small or big. They did 7-1 against Brazil in a semi-final. In a semi-final of World Cup. So they can do it against anybody. The tariff is international. So Germany winning 7-1 is not like a big thing. We can just say, okay, Kai Havertz had a good game, Musiala had a good game. But the next game will be against Ivory Coast, will be different. Their next 2 games will be Ivory Coast and Ecuador. I just feel bad for Curaçao and their team. But overall, it was an interesting game for Curaçao to see Curaçao play the first ever World Cup game. And the other game, like I was saying, the surprising game was between Turkey and Australia. The OG came on with the kangaroo. They took in all the punches from Arda Güler, Yildiz, all those players. It was fun to watch. Overall, I think they deserve the win. I don't know, they have a 2 or 3 shot on target. They scored them. 2 beautiful goals. The goals were beautiful. Like, Turkey was on the ball, doing nothing with the ball. Arda Güler, and you have, like I said, Yildiz, and you have Sananoglu from Inter Milan. So overall, Turkey was a superior team on the ball, but they're good. Like, the Australian keeper did a lot of save, and there was a lot of block. Like, you have those tall dudes defending, they're not moving. Like, there is no shot that will move those teams. So they lost to them 2-0, and the next game will be Australia United States. Will be really interesting to follow. We're gonna be there to watch that. And the last game that I want to talk about that really hurt my feeling is the Tunisian losing to Sweden 5-1. African team doesn't lose 5-1. We lose maybe 1-0, 2-1. It have to be tough to beat an African country. And Tunisia just made it look easy. Sweden is even not that good. Their head coach is grandpa, for God's sake, bro. Like, we took 5 goals against them. I'm so pissed. I know the Tunisian fired their coach, but hey, it is not enough. They were there, like you have the player Omar Rekik score like to make it 2-1, but overall Yassine Ayari, he's a Tunisian, his family is a Tunisian. He did a brace, 2 beautiful goal. Both strike were good, and he scored the first goal and and this last goal. But